I know who this man is. I know who he became. I know where he came from. So nothing is a surprise to me.
Do you feel like, since obviously the show is so far in now, do you feel like at this point it's a snap of the fingers to step back into Jack when you wake up and you know you have to work that day? It's like not even like
Oh
it's
yeah,
that time.
it's not a thing. The job's it's gotten easier. It's
Yeah.
gotten easier because I know Jack. His reactions, they're instinctual. They're not planned. When I was younger, I'd have to kind of find my way around, especially when we were jumping into, let's say, Jack in Vietnam, a younger Jack. It's like, okay, wait a minute, I haven't played this guy. I don't know how he's going to respond or react to things. But now that it's been 5 seasons and we've explored every decade of Jack that I can actually play myself, Thank God for Joaquin Obrador, but who plays younger Jack. But I know who this man is. I know who he became. I know where he came from. So nothing is a surprise to me. But what that means is I get to really lean into these experiences of playing him, and playing him maybe even with a little more wealth of character, having experienced him for so long.
Do you like that especially when you're on a series for a while, that you get that comfort? Because I assume you've had that a few times in your career, that you have that comfort of knowing this person in and out almost as well as you know yourself.
Yeah. It's and in that, trying to make sure I'm separating myself from the character. Like, there's definitely been days where, particularly this season, with the kind of start and stop of the schedule, the way we've had to operate because of COVID protocols, where the start into Jack is a little more difficult because I'm so used to have been myself for 3 weeks of time. That jumping into Jack, it's a bit jarring at times. Sometimes I'll find myself reacting as Milo, and it's like kind of a blurry line to Jack. But then I'm like, no, that's not Jack. And even there's sometimes I'll read the scripts, and the writers, God, they're so wonderful and like very studious with the way things are written. Like Jack doesn't say I'm going to the store. He says I'm gonna go to the store or whatever. It's like, there's the Jack speak, a tone, a voice. Last night I was on set with one of our writers, and I said, and she was kind of questioning me on how I was saying something. And I was like, sorry, I was muddying it up a little too much to put it in Jack talk. Because Jack, the way he talks is a little off. It's not quite properly grammatically correct. So I don't know. So some of those moments I gotta, make it quicker.
I was crying my eyes out. It was so beautifully done. It must have been nice for you to kind of get to work with Michael again and be part of that situation again, because obviously we haven't seen that in a while.
It's always great. I mean, listen, Michael is one of my favorite actors to be around. He's so natural. He's so good. He gives so much to the work. He and I work very similarly. He's one of those actors that, honestly, it's much like Mandy. I just have to learn my lines, show up, look him in the eyes, and perform the scene. Because it comes out so honestly, from his performance, from my performance with him. It's a treat. It's really a treat, and it's also great to be back on screen with Peter and Laura, who play our parents. It's always fun. I dig that age of Jack too. It's younger Jack, pre-Vietnam Jack, and of course, some post-Vietnam Jack. So younger Jack.
How do you emotionally prepare for that section when you get the script first saying, like, all right, I got to prep these days for that age? How do you kind of focus on that?
It's a little more, it's not so much emotional preparation, because I played him before. It's a little more like, I got to shave a little tighter. I gotta put my eye patches on when I'm going into work. I gotta make sure I set my hair a certain way so it's easier for Michael Wrights, our hair department head. That's a little more the preparation. I guess a little more physical preparation. But the emotional preparation, much like playing Jack in his later years, for me, it's always just be present. Literally, it's like, job number one of an actor is learn your lines. Once you learn your lines, you're free to experience what they're experiencing when the cameras are rolling. So for me, none of that ever changes, whether I'm playing Jack in his 20s or Jack in his 50s or imaginary Jack in his 70s.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's fun. It is nice to always play the various versions of him.
Yeah, definitely. Have you been, I don't know if you can say this, have you been able to play Imaginary Jack again anytime?
Oh, you know what? I haven't,
Okay.
but I can't say that I won't.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, COVID protocol is a little challenging this year. I know when Mandy and John Huertas have done the age makeup, and I know Sterling has done it this season. They try to really, production is trying to limit that just because it takes so much time to get on and take off. And at the same time, we have to have very specialized makeup artists to do that work. So, which means extra testing and all of that. So, we're doing our best within the parameters of everything that we're working with. Morale is still pretty high, even though it's been a long season, and we're getting toward the end of the season. But the crew's doing well. Everyone's happy to be working, and still plugging away, doing good.
One thing I really liked was last week they kind of dove into a little bit of Jack's struggle of how he fits in with people and how obviously financially, but socially, everything kind of. And I think that kind of brought back to how his relationship was with Rebecca's father. Is that something that we may revisit this season?
Yes, very soon, actually. Tim Matheson will be coming back, popping in. Can't say for how long, but we do see him pop up, and that does that very storyline kind of does come up with between he and Jack. I know that's always been something that Jack struggles with, and he never is one to put his own shortcomings onto anybody else or the things that he really struggles with, and I think Jack does try to give his best, but sometimes his best maybe in his mind doesn't measure up. So, we're always going to be addressing that, especially when we're looking at a younger man, which, having been in my 20s, I know that experience well. I'm going into my 30s and now into my 40s where, I finally understand truly like who I am and what I can offer and what I can give to not just people that I know, but strangers on the street. It's an interesting thing when you kind of find your place in life.